mic good? Okay. Can everyone hear? This is an incredibly sad case about a 20-year-old mother of two, a car, and a terrible, awful mistake. But it's not about murder. The two children in this case are Mateo and Emilio. Ms. Hernandez is their mother, and she is a single parent living up in Visalia, where she works as a CNA in a care facility called Sierra Valley Rehab Center. Ms. Hernandez is the biological mother of Mateo and Emilio, and both boys were full-term natural births with no birth defects. Mateo breastfed for 7 to 8 months, and Emilio for approximately 4 months because Ms. Hernandez was the primary provider in the family and she had to go back to work. On June 29th this year, Ms. Hernandez left from Visalia around noon, and she drove in her gray 2022 Toyota Corolla Hybrid, and she drove to Bakersfield to have a cosmetic procedure at 31 South Railroad. Ms. Hernandez arrives in Bakersfield at about 1:10 p.m. Prior to leaving Visalia, Ms. Hernandez and her children ate breakfast that day. The children ate fruit cups and bananas for breakfast, and later in the day for lunch, the children ate sandwiches and fruit. Throughout the morning and the day, the children had access to milk, water, and juice. Around 1:30 p.m., Ms. Hernandez went into the business to check on the status of her appointment. She returned to the car and she did text Nurse Harmony Pacheco. Pacheco was the nurse providing the procedure. Ms. Hernandez went into the business around 2 p.m. for what she thought was a 15-minute medical procedure. Before she goes into the business, she left her kids in their car seats with cookies, a bottle of milk each, and with Mateo, she left her phone so that he could watch TV. Before she went into the business, Ms. Hernandez left her keys under the seat. The car was running. The air conditioning was on. Ms. Hernandez thought that the car would stay running, that the air conditioning would likewise remain on, and that Mateo and Emilio would be okay. I want to pause for a second, because law enforcement would later determine two things. One, there's no black box information in this case, and what I mean by that is that the car's data recorder cannot provide any on-off times for the engine relevant to this case. And number two, law enforcement verifies with Toyota mechanics that the car shuts off after an hour if the shift lever stays in park, and that timer system in that car is reset if the brake pedal is depressed or if the shift lever moves, neither of which unfortunately happened in this case. Things at the business were running behind, and Ms. Hernandez stayed in the waiting room too long. And when the procedure was done, she went back out to the car and discovered that something was very wrong with Mateo and Emilio. Mateo's cheeks were red, and that's something that happens with him, according to what Ms. Hernandez will later tell law enforcement. And when Ms. Hernandez took Emilio out of his car seat, Emilio started shaking. In her own words, Ms. Hernandez starts freaking out, and she initially believes that Emilio's having a seizure because Mateo had a seizure once before, and to her it looked the same. Ms. Hernandez calls 911 twice, and in between takes Emilio inside the business to the nurse. Ms. Hernandez attempts CPR on Emilio, and 911 helps her with that, but tragically, it doesn't work. And neither do the attempts by medical personnel. Later that day, Emilio is pronounced deceased at 17:48 hours, which Ms. Hernandez learns during her first interview with law enforcement. Mateo survives, thankfully, because his sweat glands have developed. Emilio succumbs to hyperthermia because his have not. Now, you've already heard that this case involves 4 counts. I want to say at the beginning of the case, here and now, that I intend to concede the counts related to involuntary manslaughter and child endangerment that are charged in counts 2, 3, and 4 when I speak to you again near the end of the case. That doesn't relieve the DA of the burden of proof of all the counts. But the defense is challenging the second-degree murder charge in count 1, and when I speak to you again at the end of the case, I am going to ask you to find her not guilty of that charge. So let's get started. Thank you.